Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the secrets buried in corporate filings for you. Today we're diving into OSR Holdings Inc.'s latest report, and it looks like they're shaking things up with a key partner. Let's get right into what this filing is all about. OSR Holdings, also known as OSRH on the stock market, is filing their standard current report. But what's interesting here is an update on their agreements, specifically with White Lion Capital. Think of White Lion as a financial partner or investor. OSR Holdings and White Lion have amended an agreement they first made back in May. This amendment is pretty important because it changes what OSR Holdings needs to do. The main thing is they have to get their shareholders, the people who own small pieces of the company, to agree to certain deals. This means OSR Holdings needs to call a meeting for its owners, the shareholders, before September 19th. At this meeting, they'll be asked to approve several things. First, the deals that are part of this note purchase agreement with White Lion. Then they need approval for all other agreements, warrants, and debt notes they've made with White Lion. This is essentially saying that all the financial arrangements between these two companies need a thumbs up from the owners. Now, this bit is crucial. It mentions approving securities that might go beyond a certain limit set by NASDAQ, which is the stock exchange where OSRH is listed. NASDAQ has rules about how many new shares a company can issue without shareholder approval, especially when dealing with new investors. So OSR Holdings might be issuing more shares than usual to White Lion, and they need permission from their shareholders for this. And here's the kicker. Failure to get this done on time has consequences. If OSR Holdings doesn't take the necessary steps to hold this shareholder meeting and get the approvals, White Lion can demand a hefty sum of money, $400,000 as compensation. That's a significant amount and shows how serious White Lion takes these approvals. However, it's also noted that if the company does all the necessary steps but the shareholders don't approve, it won't be seen as a breach from OSR Holdings. On top of the note purchase agreement changes, there's also an update to a common stock purchase warrant. Think of a warrant as an option to buy shares of a company at a set price. This amendment mainly makes things clearer regarding how many shares can be bought or exchanged, and it also makes sure this warrant is in sync with the other agreements they have with White Lion. Alright, so this tells us OSR Holdings is very much pushing forward with its relationship with White Lion Capital. They're making sure all their ducks are in a row with their financial partners and that their shareholders are aware and involved, especially when it comes to share issuances that might go beyond typical limits. This kind of activity, especially involving shareholder approval for expanded share issuances, often signals a company trying to raise capital or finance significant operations. Looking at the company's registered securities, they have common stock with a very low par value of $0.0011 per share. This is typical for many companies, basically setting a minimum legal value for the stock. They also have redeemable warrants. These are like options that allow holders to buy OSR Holdings common stock at a specific price, which is $11.50 in this case. The fact that these are redeemable and exercisable at a set price indicates a potential in this case. The fact that these are redeemable and exercisable at a set price indicates a potential future inflow of cash for the company if these warrants are used. The amended warrant likely clarifies the terms of these options, possibly concerning the exchange cap mentioned earlier. The date of these amendments is August 10, 2025. This is the key date for when these new terms became official. It's also important to note that OSR Holdings identifies itself as an emerging growth company. This means they can take advantage of certain flexibility in financial reporting rules, like extending the time they have to comply with new accounting standards. They've checked the box indicating they are sticking to the newer, more stringent standards, which can be seen as a positive sign of transparency. They've also opted out of the extended transition period for complying with new or revised financial accounting standards, which shows a commitment to adopting current accountants sooner rather than later. This section of the filing essentially confirms what kind of securities the company has and where they trade. Here, the common stock is listed again, trading on the NASDAQ stock market LLC under the symbol OSRH. This confirms OSR Holdings is a publicly traded company, and the warrants, which give the right to buy shares at $11.50. Also trade on NASDAQ under the symbol OSRHW. Having both the stock and warrants listed on a major exchange like NASDAQ is generally a good sign for liquidity and investor access. Overall, this filing from OSR Holdings is focused on the operational and financial choreography with White Lion Capital. It details specific amendments to key agreements that involve shareholder approvals and potential share issuances, the company's status as an emerging growth company and its choice to adhere to current accounting standards suggest a structured approach to its development and financial reporting. Now for my take. OSR Holdings is clearly in a phase of actively managing its financial partnerships, specifically with White Lion. The amendments indicate a need for capital or strategic alignment that requires shareholder consent, particularly concerning Nasdaq's ownership limits. The $400,000 penalty for non-compliance is a strong signal of the importance White Lion places on these approvals governance steps, which is commendable, especially for an emerging company. The main risk here would be if shareholders reject these proposals. This could stall the company's plans, create financial strain due to potential penalties, and signal a lack of confidence from the company's owners in the management's strategy. On the other hand, securing these approvals could unlock necessary funding or facilitate crucial business operations for OSR Holdings and its relationship with White Lion. Alright, that's our breakdown of this latest filing from OSR Holdings. What are your thoughts on these amendments and the company's strategic moves? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this deep dive useful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more corporate insights. And don't forget to join our growing community on Discord, linked in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next Decode.